Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be doing a video and I'm going to be comparing two types of rifles. I'm going to be comparing the gas blowback rifles and I'm going to also be comparing the AEG rifles. So I'm just going to go ahead and touch base on a couple things between these two different categories. I'm just going to kind of touch on, how reliable each one is, performance, climate, it's a big issue, especially when it comes to gas powered anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about that, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Alrighty guys, so the first one I'm going to go ahead and cover for you today, this is going to be the AEG category. So the one I have in front of me is going to be the AK-47. This is the CM version by Cyber Gun. This one is actually the electric blowback, so it's about that far back for the blowback. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about good and bad things with the AEG category for rifles for airsoft. I guess touching up on the first thing is going to be price. With AEGs, depending on what you get, usually are going to be a lot more affordable comparing to anything GBB or gas blowback rifles. I got this one, for example, for 200 bucks. I've seen some that are lower, 150, and then, they're still built pretty good. Obviously there is the more premium versions, like, there could be an upgraded AK-47. There could be one that comes with some kind of attachments, or, for example, like an M60 or something like with a box magazine. Obviously, those are going to be a little bit more costly, but I mean, that's kind of a given. It's still going to be metal and everything, but it's just going to have electric motors. So usually they kind of they charge you based on what brand it is, materials into it, reliability, parts, and so on. There's a lot of factors that go into cost, but just to begin with that, it's a lot more affordable. The other thing is they require low maintenance. The good thing is with that is, unlike the GBB, it needs to be, like any real firearm, it needs to be lubricated, it needs to be cleaned. For this, there's really nothing to it. I mean, everything else is covered internally. You have no reason to get any type of dirt in there unless you actually just, like to play without any covers on, which I find that a really foolish thing to do. But I mean, with AEGs, everything is really just tightly enclosed, so you don't have to worry about, any type of dust or any type of issues with cleaning, the gears out or anything like that. Unless you take it apart or something, if you don't do any of that, and fiddle with it, or if you drop it in the dirt or something, or in the water, that's really the only time you really have to clean it. But in all realness, I mean, if you're gonna spend $200 on something like this is your investment, why, trash it up? So, that's a good thing, low maintenance. And upgrades, they're more readily available, and it comes a little bit better with price. I mean, the thing is with AEGs, you can upgrade a whole lot of things. You can upgrade the rate of fire, you can upgrade the power, change the springs, change the gear ratio out. You can change your battery out too, depending on what kind of motor you're running. Obviously you want 2 and 2 to be compatible so nothing breaks or blows up on you. So with GBBs, can't really do that. You're kind of set to one rate of fire. And it's something cool, if it's something you know how to do, you can fiddle with it, you can make the changes yourself, why not? It saves you money, as opposed to having a tech take it and fix it for you. You're paying for the labor and for the parts. That could end up being costly, but depending on how serious of an upgrade you're trying to do, obviously whenever you're trying to upgrade something, be expected to pay premium dollar, because upgrades are going to be costly for a reason. It's like an upgrade for anything. Even for cars, for example, you want a turbocharger, it's going to cost a lot. Same with this, you want a new motor, it's probably going to cost a lot, because just the parts that go into it. The other cool thing with AEGs is that they're since most of the players are going to be rocking AEGs, spare magazines. I'm sure somebody on your team is going to have a spare one just in case you need one, or you break yours. Somebody's always going to be like, I got you. I've been there. It's kind of cool, when something just malfunctions with your mag or something. 9 times out of 10, you'll have somebody that has somewhat of a similar platform, and they'll have some extra mags that they can lend to you, so that's kind of cool. And there's no compatibility for a lot of these CM AK-47s. I have a lot of friends that have this type of platform, and all the mags are compatible with each other, which is nice. Power, all you need is a battery, either a LiPo or the NIM batteries. Like I mentioned, depending on what kind of motor you have and what kind of battery you need. So if you have a stock motor, preferably just the regular stock battery, whatever's recommended. Usually they don't come with the guns themselves, so you know, you can kind of do some research and then know what you really need. And then if you do have some kind of upgrade, you know, obviously you're going to need more juice to, you know, get that higher rate of fire going, or, you know, that stronger FPS and so on. So, you know, the battery is definitely important. You know, you don't want something to malfunction if you have a stock motor and a juiced up battery, you know, that's just, you know, huge voltage, you know, then that'll just cause you issues. Another thing I kind of want to touch on to the magazine again, they are cheap. Like, they're, you know, they're found a lot more common than GBB mags. There's no issues with having them leak, no gas leaking or anything. They come wind up, it's mid cap or high caps. You know, you can hold up to 600 rounds. This one right here can hold, I think, over 450 BBs. So, you know, just the effectiveness of an AEG on the field is going to be more beneficial just because you can throw more BBs down the range, as opposed to, you know, a 30 round GBBR, you know. So that's kind of another thing that's kind of cool. Kind of going into, I guess, like the bad side of AEGs. If you have parts that you, for example, installed yourself or had a tech install for you, you always run the risk of something not working properly. So that little thing can sometimes set you back pretty far in terms of money, because if for some reason you put in something wrong, you know, you try to upgrade it yourself and it doesn't work, you know, it's just a whole lot of backtracking because you need to figure out what you did wrong. Good thing is with a tech, they might have some kind of warranty. I never really had to go to a tech. I usually have buddies, or I try to fiddle with it myself to fix it. I'm sure they have some kind of a warranty if their work, you know, something goes bad in the next month or whatever. I'm not too sure. So I'm sure they have something covered, but there's also a risk of that when you have somebody else repairing your rifle. And kind of another thing that I'm going to touch on this is you can, how can I word this? You don't necessarily have to upgrade anything to, you know, get the best out of it. You know, especially with AEGs, even though there's just a high platform of doing whatever you want, you can upgrade pretty much anything internally. You don't really have to. A lot of the times, everything that comes in the box, right out of the box, is going to be good to go. You know, unless, especially for airsofters that are new to everything, you know, there's no need for you to upgrade anything. I understand if you're an airsoft veteran, been doing it for 10 years, you know, you have the same gun that's just kind of dying on you, you know, time to upgrade it. That's kind of the only time I really see a reason to upgrade, you know, is when you're, you know, you feel like you want more, you know, you have some extra money, why not? But it's kind of pointless, in my opinion, when you buy a brand new gun and then just go straight to throwing hundreds of dollars in upgrades, you know. Like for me, I've had this for a few years. I mean, I don't think I even need to upgrade anything on this for another 10 years, in my opinion, to be honest. I just don't think I need to. This thing works smooth. Gearbox is incredible. Rate of fire, excellent. It's just an awesome AEG. You can also see the one that I have here, my MP5. That one's also an AEG. You know, built amazing. So, I mean, definitely you're going to want to invest. If you want something good, you're going to have to invest in it. You know, I wouldn't recommend just buying a cheaper, like $50, $100 AEG. You know, spend like borderline $200. You know, that's still pretty affordable, and it'll get you a gun that'll last you years. So I really hope you guys enjoy this segment of the AEG. Now I'm going to go ahead and touch on some GBB rifles for you. Hope you guys enjoy that. Alrighty, so now the segment's going to be about gas blowback rifles. So the one I have in front of me is going to be the WE AK-74UN. So this one's going to be the full travel bolt. It's going to be a little bit different from a lot of the GBBRs. A lot of them only go about halfway, but this one's unique, which is why I love it, because it just got that full clanking and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about this now. So the good thing with the GBBRs is that, I mean, they bring an amazing amount of realism to the game, you know, especially if you do a GBBR game only where everybody has, you know, gas blowback rifles and pistols. It definitely makes it cool. I mean, just the whole thing with, you know, something cycling back and forth, making lots of noise, like clanking, it just sounds really cool. Like I can shoot off a couple rounds for you guys. I mean, and then just the kick. The immense kick of them too, especially if you have full travel. I know with the WE platforms, they all have full travels. There's another AK-74 that the longer version has. full travel. I think they're the AUG, I think. I'm not too sure with what WE has for their rifles, but a lot of them do the full travel. And to enthusiasts like me, I absolutely love that ultimate realism that, you know, you get something where you could rack it all the way back just like a real AK. So that's kind of cool. You know, I know towards a lot of people, they love the realism. I love the realism myself because, I mean, it's the closest thing that you can have, you know, action-wise to an actual rifle. So to me, that's really cool. The other cool thing with this is, you know, unlike the AEG, this is just gas. There's no batteries. You don't have to wait, you know, hours to get a full charge and then drain it all, you know, in 2 hours and you got to charge it again. This, all you got to do is just bring your jug of propane or bring some cans of green gas, load this up, bam, you're good to go. Get out there and start going, you know. So that's definitely something cool. You know, it's obviously going to be more costly because the gas is going to be more depending on what you use, of course. If you use green gas, you know, it's going to be $7 to $9 a can. I'm right around there, I'm imagining. Propane for the big tub of it, which is worth like 2 of those cans of propane or green gas, I'm sorry. It's like $2 for a big jug of propane. You know, there's obviously some downsides to propane as opposed to green gas, but actually I have a separate video on that, so you guys can take a look at that, and then that'll describe exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, anyway, so no battery, you know, just straight up gas, just, you know, heavy clanking, that's it. No gears, nothing. This is just piston, springs, and just a whole ton of metal. The other thing is too, with gas, it's readily available. I mean, like I said, the propane, go to Walmart in their camping section, and you'll just have, you know, just rows of propane if you're trying to do it on a budget. If you're trying to get green gas, I mean, I know that there's, you know, depending on where you live, like I live around a few airsoft shops that are maybe a few miles away from me. So, you know, I always have my green gas, you know, I get it from these guys just because it's, you know, 10-15 minute drive to them. So instead of paying, you know, another vendor to get it and then ship it over, and I pay shipping costs on top of the product, you know, it's kind of sucks. Whereas I can spend 5 minutes driving and then grab it, you know. But it depends too, you know, depends where you are. You might not have a local airsoft shop, but hey, you know, there's always Walmart, you know. You can always get propane. Just make sure you buy silicone oil. You might have to buy that online just so you can mix it with the propane so it's not as, you know, as dirty, and it doesn't dirty up your internals for your GBBR. The other thing is too, right now I have my KWA AK-74M. So this one has the grenade launcher attachment on there. I put that on myself. This one's the Lancer Tactical, actually. Another thing with like rate of fire, a lot of the GBBs, this one for example actually is not a full travel, it's about a half travel bolt. So just enough to where this ejection port is opened up fully, travels about that much. They all have similar rate of fire. With GBBs, unfortunately, you can't change that just because they come like that right out of the factory. However, there is an exception for the WE-74UN. That one, you can actually alter the rate of fire because they do have, being that it's a full travel, there's a little thing that you can put in the back of the, so when you take off the cover here, there's a little piece that goes right in there, and it helps shorten the travel distance. So shortening the travel distance makes a higher rate of fire. I don't know about FPS on that, but I've never really had one of those things to really try it out myself. But, you know, there is a way to change it, but to an exception, if it's a full traveling bolt and they have a special piece for it, it can be done. But for a lot of these, they're already travel is shortened to about half. I'll kind of show you inside of this one. See, you have a, you got that little blocker right here. So when you pull this back, it hits right there, and that's it. The WE doesn't have this part, so it goes all the way back until it literally hits this end here, and then it bounces back and then loads the BB in. So that's kind of cool, you know, that, you know, with this, it's going to have higher rate of fire, and even with an open bolt system, you do have the option to change the rate of fire if needed. Kind of touching now into what's more difficult, and, you know, it's going to be, you know, different from the AEG. Obviously, it's going to require a lot more maintenance. Again, you have a lot of moving parts in these, a lot of lubrication needed on the springs. You know, you have a gas piston, you have the guide spring, you have the whole trigger mechanism and everything. All that's working together, you know, to get the action. So with that, just like a real gun, you do need lubrication. You know, everything field strips and comes out like easy. I'm actually gonna show you how easy it is to just take everything off. I'm going to use my WE here. So this one, you know, obviously just rack it, cock it back, get that lifted up. So you see this one, see, it doesn't have any stoppers in there, so that just full travel all the way to the back. But it's really simple. All you have to do is just take this guide rod out here. That comes out like so. This is one of the parts you're going to have to just put a little bit of oil on there. Put that to the side. Piston comes out, the whole assembly. So you got the little rod here, the gas system, and then inside you have all the hammer assembly. So, you know, this is where the maintenance really does come into play. If you do want to get full benefits and full just performance out of your rifle, you know, everything needs to be lubricated so everything works properly. Just to avoid anything breaking or cracking or, you know, exploding. You know, it's just, you got gas, you know, you have something pressurized. If something, you know, if it's coming back and it just blows, it could throw shrapnel. You never know. It's always just better to be safe than sorry. Another thing with these, it's going to be a lot more expensive. I will tell you that right now. If I kind of think of GBBRs as a more experienced type of platform to go into, just because be ready to pay at least a minimum, like about $250 and up. You know, for this one, I got it on sale actually for, I think, like $280. This was usually $350. So, I mean, I got a good deal on it, but there's some that are going to be $400, $500, $600 easily, especially if you go into the Polar Star range. Forget about it. You're going to be throwing down $1,000+ on that thing if you want everything, you know, everything, the canisters and whatnot. So, you know, with the gun itself being expensive, so are the parts. For the WE example, the issues in this is the trigger assembly gonna, you know, goes just bad after, I don't know, depending on how many shots, probably a few years. I had this for 2 years already. It's going good. You know, they have upgrades for this, like the garter upgrade. It's over $100. So that's just the hammer and everything, is the whole trigger assembly. That's a lot. You know, magazine repair, this one's already getting some cracks on there. This magazine is like $40. So, you know, at that point, it's something you need to buy. So, you know, alone you're investing, you know, a ton of money. You know, I already got the wood upgrade kit on this. I got the steel rod in there. I got the little flash hider here. And then that's about it for upgrades. So, you know, I've invested over $400, I think, in this thing. So it's an expensive thing with GBBs. And then another thing, going towards like weather again, with any GBB, weather's going to be a pain, especially if it's green gas or propane, because once it hits about 30, 40 degrees, that's when it just doesn't work. It'll cycle like an inch and then it just ejects all the gas out. Depending though, if you have a CO2 rifle, that's a whole other story. Like again, I do have my video that's propane versus green gas versus CO2. You kind of get an insight of what I mean with CO2. It works amazing. Cold conditions could be like -20 and it'll still work just fine. But just sticking to propane and green gas, it works like crap in the winter. But if you know, airsoft 70, 80, 90 degree days, you're going to get the best efficiency out of your magazine. So, you know, that's one thing to just remember. Airsofting in warm climates is preferred. Now, another thing, kind of the last thing I'll touch on is, again, with the magazine, comparing it to an AEG, you obviously are not going to have 600 rounds to deal with. It's just going to be a single or double stack. At most 30, 40 rounds is what you'll have in one of these mags. I think with this one, it's right around 30 BB range. So, you know, obviously this goes again to the realism. Just like a real AK or a real rifle, you know, have about 20, 30 rounds for a mag capacity, just like the airsoft version. So always got to remember that. Carry multiple mags if you want to kind of, if you're going to go against somebody with an AEG versus a GBB, you might lose because they're going to be throwing BBs down at you. You know, you're on round 30, you're out, and oh crap, I only have one mag. You know, I won't be able to speed load this in time. The guy is just gonna get you, and you'll be done. So that's kind of a downside with this, is you need multiple magazines if you're trying to, you know, in case of emergency, you know, you gotta just spray and pray. You know, you're only stuck with one mag if, you know, and then 30 rounds, that's it. So again, it's more of a realism thing. So if you're gonna be playing with all GBBs, you know, it's going to be a little bit better just because, you know, that other guy has 30 rounds, you have 30 rounds. So, you know, it's going to be a one-on-one. But whereas, you know, where it's a free-for-all, everybody's got whatever gun they want. You got a guy with a 4,000 round box mag M60 coming at you, and you have one of these with just 30 rounds. You better just run. Don't even waste your time. But anyway, so that's kind of my I guess, pros and cons with both AEGs and GBBRs. So I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys have any other questions for me or want more feedback or something maybe I missed, please let me know in the comments. If you guys do like this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe, because I do have tons of Airsoft content I love sharing with you guys. So there's definitely more coming. I upload at least a couple videos a week, so if you like what I upload, you know, definitely take a look throughout the rest of my channel. And yeah guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one.